What if there is an incredible world beyond life that changes everything you thought you knew about reality? Today, you will hear the amazing story of a man named Dean, who experienced clinical death and came back to share what he saw. His journey revealed the mysteries of life, the past, and the future, showing a truth that is impossible to forget. Stay with us until the end of this video to find out the message Dean brought back and how it can change your life. Dean was an ordinary man living in the suburbs of Chicago. His days were filled with work, taking care of his family, and evening walks through quiet streets. He loved his life but rarely thought about spiritual questions or what happens after death. For Dean, life was simple: live it well and leave a mark on the hearts of loved ones. But one day changed his life forever. Dean went to the hospital with his wife for a routine medical checkup. It was just a normal day, nothing special, until he discovered the truth about life, death, and something much bigger. In the hospital, Dean sat in a wheelchair, waiting for his turn. His wife stood nearby, talking with the nurses. He felt a little nervous but didn't think anything was wrong. Then suddenly, everything changed. Dean felt a strange warmth spread through his body. Then, silence. His wife noticed he wasn't answering her anymore. She called out to him, trying to wake him up. The medical team rushed to help and started CPR. But Dean was no longer in his body. His mind floated above the room. He saw himself sitting in a wheelchair, surrounded by people trying to save him. But there was no fear, only a deep sense of peace. As light completely surrounded Dean, a glowing figure appeared in front of him. The figure shone with a soft golden light. It wasn't an ordinary person or just a vision. Dean felt its presence, strong and kind at the same time. The figure was tall, with soft but clear facial features, and its eyes seemed to look straight into his soul. Every move it made showed greatness and endless patience. "You are here for a reason," the figure said, not with words, but directly in Dean's mind. The voice was clear and deep, like a song filling him with peace. Dean immediately knew this was his guide, a spiritual teacher he had vaguely heard about before. Now, the guide was here, real and present. The guide reached out a hand. Dean felt warmth flowing into him, filling him with calm and confidence. "I'm here to show you the path you've always been looking for," the guide said. At that moment, all of Dean's fears and doubts melted away, like morning mist under the sun. They began to move. Dean wasn't walking but floating next to the guide. Everything around them glowed with soft light, and it felt like even the world around them was alive. Gentle music, like the song of life, filled the air. It wasn't just a sound, it was something he could feel in his heart. "Everyone who comes here meets their guide," the teacher explained. "We don't just show you the way, we help you understand who you were, who you are now, and who you can become." Dean suddenly felt his mind filling with memories, not just from this life, but from others. He saw himself in different times and places, living through joy and struggles. Everything that once seemed random now fit together like a puzzle. He realized his soul had been traveling for a long time, and every step, every choice, had been part of a bigger plan. "But why me?" Dean asked, still amazed by what was happening. The guide smiled softly. "Because you were ready. You've always been ready, but now you know it." They came to a large archway glowing with beautiful light. "Beyond this arch is the next step of your journey," the guide said. "There, you will find the truth you've been searching for. But remember, truth is not always easy. You need to be ready to accept it, no matter what it is." Dean took a deep breath. He felt both scared and excited. He knew stepping through the arch would change him forever. But with the guide by his side, he felt ready. When Dean stepped through the glowing archway, an incredible feeling swept over him. He felt as though he had become part of a giant symphony. Around him was music, not just something to hear with his ears, but something he could feel in every part of his being. It made every cell in his body vibrate in harmony. Far in the distance, mountains glowed with soft light, as if they themselves were sources of music. Each peak seemed alive, moving to the rhythm of an unknown song. Waterfalls cascaded down the cliffs, their gentle sound blending into the music of the world. Even the air felt alive, carrying a melody that gave him both peace and understanding. "Everything here has its own voice," the guide said beside him. "Music is the essence of this place. It connects everything, like threads in a great fabric of life." Dean looked at the trees around him. Their leaves shimmered in shades of gold and emerald, and each leaf gave off a faint sound, like a soft note in a song. He reached out and touched one of the leaves. Warmth spread through his fingers, and he heard a pure, high-pitched tone that made his heart swell with joy. "This is incredible," Dean whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I never thought sound could feel so alive." The guide smiled. "This place reflects what people have forgotten. Everything in your world is made of sound and light, but you stopped listening. Here, everything sings because it is all connected to the Creator. Every drop of water, every ray of light, is part of a song about love and unity." Dean noticed that his own body was beginning to glow. He raised his hands and saw soft, golden light shining from his fingers. It didn't feel foreign, it felt like it was part of him. His body no longer felt like a limitation. Instead, it felt like an instrument that could connect him to the music of this world. "You don't need outside light here," the guide explained. "Your body shines because it is filled with life. There is no shadow here, no fear. Only harmony." Dean tried to find words to describe what he was feeling, but none came. It was more than a vision or a sound. It was as though he had become part of something vast, infinite, and filled with love. "You see this place," the guide said, "but it is not just outside of you. It is within you. This world is a reminder of who you truly are." At that moment, Dean realized he had always been part of this symphony. He felt like a small but important note in the endless melody of the universe. This thought filled his heart with joy and hope. Dean and his guide continued their journey through the shining world of music and light. After some time, the light around them began to soften, like a golden mist wrapping everything in warmth. Dean felt his awareness expand, as though he could see not just what was in front of him but also what was hidden beyond time itself. "We are approaching the place of revelations," the guide said gently, stopping in front of a giant mirror that stood in the center of this world. The mirror glowed faintly, its surface shimmering like liquid silver. It reflected light and movement, yet it remained mysterious and unreadable. "What is this?" Dean asked, feeling a mix of wonder and nervousness. "This is the mirror of your soul," the guide replied. "Here, you will see not only who you were but also who you can become." The mirror began to sparkle, and images appeared before Dean. First, he saw himself as a child, playing carelessly in a sunlit field. He heard the laughter of his mother and saw the proud face of his father. These moments were filled with so much warmth that tears came to his eyes. "Are these my memories?" he asked, unable to look away from the mirror. "Yes," the guide said. "But they are more than memories. They are keys to your understanding. Every moment in your life has left a mark, leading you to who you are now." Scenes shifted rapidly. Dean saw himself as a teenager, falling in love for the first time, making mistakes, and learning from them. He was shown moments when he had to make tough decisions, moments of joy and sadness. Each memory felt vivid and important, like pieces of a puzzle coming together to form a picture. Then the images in the mirror changed again. Dean saw people he didn't recognize. Some smiled at him, others seemed strangely familiar, as if they were from another time. He saw himself in different clothes, with different faces. "Are these my past lives?" he whispered. The guide nodded. "Yes. Here, you can see how your soul has traveled through the ages. In each of these lives, you learned, loved, suffered, and grew. All of this is part of you." Dean watched in awe as these past lives intertwined, creating an endless chain where every link mattered. He saw himself as a warrior protecting his family, a scientist searching for the secrets of the universe, and a simple farmer living in harmony with nature. Each memory filled him with gratitude and humility. But then the mirror changed again. The light grew brighter, and Dean began to see visions he couldn't understand. Giant cities filled with shining technology, people moving like shadows, the earth shaking, and massive waves crashing against the shores. Dean's heart tightened with worry. "Is this the future?" he asked, his voice trembling. "This is one of the possible paths," the guide said. "The future is always flexible, but these visions show where humanity might go if it does not recognize its mistakes. You see destruction because many have forgotten their true purpose." Dean looked at these scenes with sadness. He saw people losing connection with each other, consumed by artificial worlds. He saw nature crying out in pain, ignored by humanity. But amidst the darkness, he also saw glimpses of hope, people coming together, praying, and restoring faith. "Is there a way to save it?" Dean asked, looking at the guide with hope. "There's always a way," the guide said. "But it begins in the heart of every person. People must remember they are part of something greater. They must find harmony with the world and each other." Dean felt his soul fill with determination. These images were not just a warning, they were a call to action. He knew he had to share this vision, inspire others to wake up and change. "Now you know," the guide said softly. "Use these revelations with wisdom and love. This is not just your journey, it is a path that can change the world." After the revelations of the past and future, Dean felt the space around him begin to change. The light became softer, the music faded, and in its place came a silence that was filled with depth and meaning. It wasn't just silence, it was the presence of something vast and immeasurable that surrounded everything. "Now you are ready to rise higher," the guide said, gently placing a hand on Dean's shoulder. The guide's voice echoed softly, filling the space with calm and confidence. Dean felt his body becoming lighter, almost weightless. His thoughts seemed to dissolve, giving way to pure awareness. The space around him burst into dazzling light, but the light didn't hurt, it felt like an embrace, like coming home. In this light, Dean felt himself as part of something great. "What is this place?" he asked, his voice echoing within himself. "This is the beginning of higher realms," the guide replied. "Here, you will learn things that are beyond human understanding. Here, you will feel that you are part of everything." The light around him began to shift, playing with countless shades, as if alive. Each color carried deep emotions and meanings. Dean felt himself becoming one with these colors while still remaining himself. He no longer needed to see or hear, he simply knew. This knowledge entered his very being, leaving him in awe. "There are no divisions here," the guide continued. "There is no time, no space, no boundaries. You are part of the light, and the light is part of you." Dean felt his consciousness merging with the world around him. He was like a drop joining an ocean but still remained a drop. he realized something he had never understood before. Every living thing, every star, every particle in the universe is connected by an invisible thread of love and awareness. He saw planets moving in harmony, stars shining for each other. He felt the wind carrying not just air but music, a part of the grand symphony of being. Everything was part of one endless dance, in which he also played his role. Unity is the truth of all existence, the guide said. This is what people in your world have forgotten. They see divisions and create boundaries, but in the higher realms, there are none. Dean felt his heart fill with immense love. This love wasn't like anything he had known before. It was greater, universal, infinite. He realized this love came from the source of all existence, from what some call God. There is no lie here, the guide said. No fear, no pain. Only truth and light. But to understand it, you must go beyond your limits, your fears, and your ego. Dean felt these words sink into his soul. He remembered moments in his life when he felt alone, scared, or lost. But now, those feelings seemed so far away, so small. They no longer had power over him. He turned to thank the guide, but the guide was already stepping back. I cannot go further with you, the guide said. This is a path you must walk alone. Here, you will find answers to the questions that have always been in your heart. Dean wanted to say something but realized words were no longer needed. His guide slowly dissolved into the light, leaving him alone in this majestic place. Now, Dean was in complete harmony with this world. He felt every note of music, every particle of light. He had become part of the light, and the light had become part of him. At that moment, he realized he didn't need to look for answers outside of himself. Everything he needed had always been within him. Suddenly, Dean felt himself being pulled back. The teacher's voice softly said, "Your time has not yet come. You must share with others what you have learned." Dean opened his eyes and saw his wife's tearful face, full of joy. The doctors stood nearby, amazed by his return. But Dean knew this was not just luck, he had a mission. After his return, Dean began sharing his experience. He spoke about how life is more than just physical existence. We are souls passing through cycles of birth and death. But within each of us is a spark of the divine. Our task is to seek the truth, live with love, and share the light. His words inspired people all over the world. Dean knew his story was an important message, and he kept telling it, hoping that even one person would hear it and see the light. This story is a reminder to all of us that beyond fear and pain lies a world of light, music, and infinite love. If this story touched your heart, share it with others. Perhaps it will help someone find hope or understand something important. Subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories that make you think about life and its deeper meaning. Like this video and click the bell so you don't miss our next releases. Thank you for being with us, and remember, the light will always find you if you open your heart to it.